if we think about what we can use the computer networks for, businesses was the first thing that came to mind. Home applications was the second thing, and in recent years, the mobile users have become very popular. So that's probably the third thing that comes to our mind when we think about what can we use networks for. So what do you think mobile users need the network for? So let's look at their cell phones. Do they need to be connected to internet?
Yes.
For what?
Communication.
They didn't need that a couple of years ago, did they? So essentially now we have these phones which are pretty much a mini computer that has all the applications that a normal computer would have in a smaller version. So these mobile users will end up want to be connected to the network just like the businesses and the home users do. So mobile users want to have access to network resources on the go. Whether that is checking their email or connecting to other people through social networks, or being able to purchase things from businesses through e-commerce, or being able to connect to government if they want to. Whatever they want to do, they want to be able to do it through their mobile device. So now we need to provide network connection for the mobile devices at all times. So all of these are reasons why networks are important and why we spend our time studying them. So we'll go over this one more time. The business applications, the model that they used was the client-server model. So we have a server that is always sitting there listening, waiting for requests to be served. Example request would be, this is a web server, for example, so it hosts a bunch of web content, such as websites, pictures, images, videos, and things like that, that the clients can request. So let's say the client is browsers, Google Chrome, or Internet Explorer, or Safari, or another browser. And this server could be a file transfer server, so storing files, or it could be a database server, so the clients who want to send security to the database and see, obtain results. Let's say the database could be storing customer information or inventory information. So this is a popular model that's used for businesses. The client will send a request to the server through the network. The server will process the request and send the response back to the client. With home applications, we mentioned the home users. Another type of model that they use is peer-to-peer network. So that was a type of network that there's no client and server, because each machine acts as both a client and the server because it hosts a content that is sharing with other machines. So other machines can request from us content, and at the same time we can request from them content. So it's an ad hoc network that everybody's connected to everybody else and not in any particular structure. Now, for the home applications, in addition to social networks and games, the network allows the home users to connect to businesses and, let's say, purchase things online. But it also allows home users to connect to the government services, such as filing our taxes online. And of course, it allows us to connect to other people's home machines. From the business point of view, it's not just business and client, but it could be business to business. Let's say the business itself wanted to order some supplies for its manufacturing. So it can do this through the network by connecting to another business. Okay, so this is great that we have created these networks that did not exist before, and they give us a lot of options that we can use them for that we could not do this before. So they give us some great advantages. But with these great advantages, we have some issues as well that we did not have before the networks existed. So let's say before the networks existed, the only way to reach the masses was through the printed press. So we will print things and send it out if we want to inform the public of something. Now, with these networks, we could post content or messages through the network and have like thousands and millions of people view these things almost immediately. So that's a newly found freedom that we have because network enabled us to do that. But can you think of any problems with that? Is there anything that we could post in front of millions of people that could potentially cause problems?
Of course.
So we do have some controversial subjects. Right? What would be controversial subjects that could get us in trouble in front of millions of people? Politics, maybe? Religion?
Yes.
And sexuality. So these are some subjects, some of them, that could potentially cause trouble that we couldn't have. I mean, we didn't have this kind of problem before the networks existed, because we couldn't reach so many people so quickly. That's one of the things. Another problem is copyright issues. So when these home users connected themselves to each other's computers together and started viewing each other's files, then they started sharing music and video and other content that was copyrighted, and it was actually illegal to share it with other people. So networks enable us to share these things illegally, and that's an issue that it exists. Other social issues: network neutrality. What would that be? That we are treating everybody in a fair way. So let's say the network service providers decided to give better service to the richer people and not a very good service to the more poor areas or something like that. So then we have a network neutrality or divide issue. So the service is better in some areas because of that reason. And then we have a bunch of security and privacy issues which did not exist before the networks were available. So now we have private sector companies, both and government, being able to track people or users through the networks. That was not as easy to do before the networks existed. So profiling users. So we have these businesses being able to collect personal information through the network, such as what? Our name, age, location, what kind of things we buy, what places do we go, where do we usually sleep, and what do we eat, and what size of shoes do we wear, and all these things. So creating a profile for each user with some personal information about him or her and building databases off of that. Without the user's knowledge or permission. So these are some privacy issues that exist because the network made them possible. Or the government installing software at internet service providers because they want to be able to read everything that is sent through the network for homeland security purposes. So they're trying to make sure that they can read anything that's being sent. But then it raises privacy issues because some people are talking to their family or friends or boyfriends and girlfriends, and they don't want others to read that stuff, so that's considered private. And so these are some privacy concerns. And of course, we have hackers and others trying to cause intentionally issues with the network and with the businesses or with the users. So let's say we have of messages. So let's say we have some hackers on the network that can read messages that are being sent through the network and modify them in transit, or resend them later. So they will take the message and change it, and so the user would not know or realize that the message has been changed when they receive it. Or they will take it and replay it back later. Let's say we just withdrew $1,000 from our bank account, and it's a perfectly valid transaction, and it's sent through the network. It's probably encrypted, which doesn't really matter because the hacker sitting there recorded it with the encryption and everything, and then just replay it again later. So we end up withdrawing $1,000 one more time from the bank account, so it's withdrawn twice. And so having the network is great with all the advantages that it gives us, and businesses even basing their entire business on that, but it also raises some issues, some social issues.